Which is better, the Porsche 911 Dakar or the Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato? Which is the better supercar and which is better at what both of them are designed for, which is off-roading? Is it the Porsche 911 Dakar or the Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato? We are going to be putting them against each other in these 7 different categories, which are powertrain, performance, design, off-roading, fun, upgrades, and price. And any car that wins in a category will be given a sum of 10 points. And by the end of the video, we're going to be summing up the individual points of these cars to determine which one is actually better. And with all that said, let's get the video started. And now, kicking off with the powertrain, starting with the 911 Dakar. The Dakar is powered by a 3-liter twin-turbo flat-6 engine that makes 473 horsepower and 570 Nm of torque. The power is sent to all 4 wheels via an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. On the other hand, we have the Huracan Sterrato, which is powered by a 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10 engine that makes 602 horsepower and 565 Nm of torque. The power is sent to all 4 wheels via a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. But we all know that being more powerful doesn't mean better. So to declare the winner in this category, we are going to be considering 3 points, which are consistency, efficiency, and power output. And now, starting with the consistency, both are gas-powered cars and they are going to be very much consistent in power output and power delivery, almost exactly the same in all conditions and in all weather. So for consistency, I think both cars are going to perform almost exactly the same in terms of consistency. So I'll call this round a draw. Next up is the efficiency, and this is why I give the point to the 911 Dakar, because 911 Dakar has less horsepower than the Huracan Sterrato, but the performance output, the way it handles its power, it puts out a performance that is very on par with the Huracan Sterrato, and it's far more efficient with fuel consumption. You get 19 miles per gallon from the Porsche, which is far more than the 15 miles per gallon you get from the Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato. So for efficiency, I'll give this one to the 911 Dakar. Lastly is the power output. The Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato makes 602 horsepower and 565 Nm of torque, while the 911 Dakar makes 473 horsepower and 570 Nm of torque. Though they are close in torque number, but the Huracan makes way more horsepower than the 911 Dakar. So for power output, I'll give this one to the Sterrato. So for the overall best in powertrain, I'll call this round a draw. So each car gets 5 points. Coming over to the performance, both of these cars can do 0 to 62 miles per hour in 3.4 seconds. And as for the quarter mile time, the Sterrato can finish a standing quarter mile in 11 seconds, while it will take the 911 Dakar 11.6 seconds to finish a standing quarter mile. And as for the top speed, the Sterrato can reach up to 162 miles per hour, while the 911 Dakar will max out at 149 miles per hour. So for the winner in performance, I'll give this one to the Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato. And now, coming over to the design, there's not much of a competition here, and I think many people are going to agree with me on this one. The Porsche 911 Dakar is very good looking. It looks fantastic in and out. It's inspired by the 1984 Porsche 953 and it has been refined for this generation. But the Sterrato looks way better. Although the 911 Dakar has a slightly better interior design, but for the overall exterior design and for the overall design, which is what matters the most, the Sterrato wins. The Sterrato is better looking, is very good looking, more beautiful and more sharp looking. And I know some people might go for the design of the Porsche 911 Dakar, but most people, including myself, is going to go with the design of the Sterrato, and I think many people are going to agree with me with this one. The Sterrato looks way better, to be honest. So for the overall best in design, I'll give this one to Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato. And now, Coming over to off-roading, we all know that both of these cars are modded version of the original. The Dakar is a modded 911 and the Sterrato is a modded Huracan. So, what off-roading features do they get? Starting with the Sterrato. The Sterrato gets an increased ground clearance, a rear mechanical self-locking differential, an aluminum front underbody construction, a dead track capable tires with run flat capabilities with light bars to give you better visibility at night. As for the 911 Dakar, it gets an increased ground clearance, an underbody protection, an active suspension which adds an additional 30mm to the ground clearance on both ends. You get a limited speed for optimal performance, a wily mode for gravel roads, muddy tracks and wet grass. You get a dedicated off-roading mode for dunes and rocky trails, and you cannot forget the light bars which gives you a better visibility while off-roading at night. So now, which is the better off-roader? Is it the 911 Dakar or the Huracan Sterrato? Well, we all know what Lamborghinis can do. Lamborghinis are very good off-roaders. You can literally take any Lamborghini off-road and it will surprise you with how good it will perform. So making an off-roading version of any Lamborghini is just on another level. On the other hand, we have the 911 Dakar, which has a very good tools and features to handle off-roading obstacles. It has the ground clearance, it has the air suspension, it has the precise power output and power delivery to handle any off-roading obstacles. But what we all need to know that these cars are meant for light off-roading. They are not meant to do those crazy stuff we see Raptors doing. They're not meant for anything too crazy, they're just meant for light off-roading. So I won't tell you that the 911 will beat the Sterrato at off-roading. I won't tell you that the Sterrato would beat the 911 at off-roading. Both are very good off-roaders. It will take a real-world testing to declare which one is actually better. So for off-roading, I'll call this round a draw. So each car gets 5 points. Oh, if you're liking the video so far, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more. And now, coming over to the fun, which is more fun, the 911 Dakar or the Huracan Sterrato? Well, both of these cars are very nimble, sharp and very fast with loads of power, but I think the Sterrato is way more fun than the 911 Dakar. Mind you, I've never driven any of these cars, neither have I seen them in real life, but based on what I've seen online, the Sterrato is way more fun. And there are factors that comes to play when judging if a car is fun or not. You have factors like sound, speed, how responsive the car is and how easy the car is to drive. Believe it or not, sound has so much to do with fun. How fun a car is to drive, sound has so much to do with that. A good sounding car will keep you smiling and will keep you boiling in happiness throughout the whole drive. And comparing the sound of both of these cars, take a listen. The Lamborghini Sterrato sounds way better. Both of these cars are very fast and very responsive, but the Sterrato edges the Porsche in speed. And in terms of which one is easiest to drive, I think the Porsche is a lot more easier to drive than the Sterrato. Not that the Sterrato is a lot harder than the Porsche, but it takes more guts to drive the Sterrato than to drive the 911 Dakar. The 911 Dakar seems like a car that anyone can drive, but the Sterrato needs a lot of taming and sinking in order to go full send, and that adds onto the fun. So for the very best in this category, I would say is the Lamborghini Sterrato. And now, coming over to the upgrades, which one has more upgrades? Is it the 911 Dakar or the Huracan Sterrato? Well, Lamborghinis are capable off-roaders. They don't need much to be done to them in order to go off-roading. Although they need upgrades, but they don't need much of it or need to be reworked all over again. On the other hand, you have the Porsche 911 Dakar, which has a lot more thought and upgrades put into it. You have the active suspension, you have different driving mode designated to different driving off-roading conditions. Although you have something like that in the Sterrato, but in the Dakar it's a lot more thought out and you have way more upgrades in it than the Sterrato. So for the very best in this category, I'll give this one to the 911 Dakar. And now, lastly is the price. The Porsche 911 Dakar cost $223,450,000, and Porsche will be making 2,500 units of it, and the Sterrato cost $270,000, and Lamborghini will be making 1,499 units of it. But mind you, I'm not going to be giving the point to the most expensive or to the less expensive. Rather, I'm going to be judging this category based on value for money. What value are you getting for the price point? And I will give this one to the 911 Dakar. Why? For over $46,000 less, you get the 911 Dakar, which is although down on power compared to the Sterrato, but it has more torque than the Sterrato. It puts out performance that is almost on par with the Sterrato. It's a very good off-roader, and you get way more off-roading features and way more upgrades put into it than the Sterrato. The Sterrato is not a bad value for money car, but compared to the 911 Dakar, it seems like you're paying way more for almost the same. And with the 911 Dakar, you're getting way more feature for the price point. So for the overall winner in this category, I'll give this one to the 911 Dakar. And now, finally, we are going to be totaling the individual points of this car to determine which one is actually best. So starting with the 911 Dakar, it tied in powertrain and in off-roading with the Sterrato and won in upgrades and in price, giving it a total of 30 points. And the Sterrato tied in powertrain and in off-roading with the 911 Dakar and won in performance, design and in fun, giving it a total of 40 points. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, the winner is the Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato, which means that the Sterrato is better than the 911 Dakar. But wait, it doesn't mean that the Porsche 911 Dakar is actually a bad car. The 911 Dakar is actually good, like very fantastic, a good value for money car. But for the overall best and for the overall better in all these categories, I'll give the points and the win to the Huracan Sterrato. But it still depends on personal preference. If what the 911 Dakar won in is what interests you, go for the 911, and if what the Sterrato won in is what interests you, then go for the Sterrato. But for this competition and for this matchup, I think the win goes directly to the Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato. But still, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If there is anything you think I missed out on, let me know in the comment section, and let me know which one you would go for. Is it the 911 Dakar or the Huracan Sterrato? Let me know in the comment section down below. And that brings us onto the end of the video, guys. Go ahead and like the video if you love the video. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends and family if you think they're going to like it. And with all that said, thank you for tuning in and thank you for watching through to the end, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out and stay safe.